Grace and peace, family. I hope everybody's doing good this morning. I'm gonna get right into this video. So I was in John 3 and 4, chapter 3 and 4, and it just had me go down a whole rabbit hole in my meditation. So I'm gonna try to piece it together. I'm probably gonna have to chop this video up because I'm sure I'm about to go off. But let me get into it, all right? Let's do this. John chapter 3, from 13 to 18, it talks about wisdom. And it talks about the two types of wisdom that we have here on this earth. Positive wisdom that comes from the Lord, and then the earthly wisdom that comes from, obviously, the devil. Now, the reason why it sat with me so deeply is because it talked about even the times that we live in right now, and how easy it is to be swayed in both directions. But it also speaks on how you know the difference between where your wisdom is coming from. Because I feel like a lot of people fall into the trap of believing that, oh, if you're abiding by the rules of the world, that you are doing the right thing. And in all actuality, the rules of the world were created to completely go against God's word and on purpose. So it is up to you to develop enough discernment within yourself to be able to understand what wisdom comes from God and what wisdom comes from man. And the only way to really understand that is, one, to get into the word, and two, to start to identify where you sit within yourself. Are you worldly or are you wordly? Now, the reason why I went into this is because it talks about how wisdom comes from humility. That's how you know it is coming from God. When it is selfless, when it is selfless and it is uplifting and it is built on peace, it is to promote righteousness. That is how you know the Lord has a hand in what is either being said, done, or practiced. Now, on the opposite side of the spectrum, anything that is for selfish ambition, done out of envy, or even done to consider control and oppression, these are all works of the devil and are worldly. If you look at even emotionality amongst men and women, men are taught very young that being emotional and tapping into your emotions is a negative thing. It's a negative attribute and it makes you weak, which is the opposite. It actually makes you strong. When a man does not tap into his emotions, it makes him bubble up and they actually turn into the opposite of what the emotion is. Where if they don't talk about the fact that they have love, it turns into hate and it sours the heart. If they do not talk about the fact that they did not understand, it becomes frustration, and vice versa. It just continues on. It's a cycle. So teaching a man to not tap into his emotions works against not only that man, but against God. So you are working for the system. The same goes for women. Women are taught that being emotional is a part of the feminine condition, as if it is an illness, when in all actuality, that is where a woman's power comes from. Her ability to tap into her own emotions, as well as the emotions of those around us, so that we can be able to promote more nurture within the world, is how it's supposed to benefit us. But instead, being told that you are too emotional, that you care too much, it forces you to now suppress those emotions, which pushes you into your masculine energy, but it also stops you from being able to follow your own intuition and understand yourself. So you grow up without having a sense of self, and you push that on everyone you come in contact with. It breeds insecurity, and it breeds less confidence within the world and yourself. So all of these things, these are systematic conformities that were pushed on all of us so that we now can be controlled by the rules of the world. Now, the differences between men and women for me stood out so heavily because we live in a society that pushes that the patriarchal society is over the feminine society. Now, I'm not someone who thinks that feminism is a thing, because it's not one versus the other. Men and women were created to be a team. She was created to be there to help Adam, to be a partner to Adam. The attributes of a man and a woman are very different. So they are meant to complement each other. Not for one to have more power over the other. That's not how it works. The same way how a man's position when it comes to making a baby is the ability to determine the sex, and how a woman's ability is to, one, carry that baby, but also determine whether or not it's going to be 1, 2, 3, or in some cases 6. It is a partnership, and it goes hand in hand. So the further we get away from thinking that someone has to be in control, the better our society begins to be. We begin to heal, because the only one who has control over the way that we move is the Lord. Following His way is the way that we control ourselves. Now, you'll have many who will talk about free will. If I have free will, then I don't want to do that. Then that goes into you healing your heart and understanding who you are. Because the free will means you need the ability to be able to do things that are detrimental to others. That's not free will that you want. You want something else. You're looking for power, confirmation, and you're looking for oppression. You're looking for control. And usually, those types of things that you're seeking, they come from traumas that need to be sorted. My dog's dreaming. So if you are someone who needs to be over someone else, or you need to feel like you have more power, you have traumas. And you need to sit with those traumas, and you need to sort through the traumas and look at them and understand that they're not you, and that they don't actually create protection for you. They create a barrier for everyone else. So instead of keeping all the bad things out, you don't let all the good things in either. Okay, so I'm going to get into James chapter 3, verse 16 through 18. It says, "For where you have envy and selfish ambition, you will find disorder in every evil practice. But the wisdom that comes from heaven is first of all pure, then peace-loving, considerate, submissive, full of mercy and good fruits, impartial and sincere. Peacemakers who sow in peace raise a harvest of righteousness." This is telling us specifically the evil works of the world. You can tell them by where they're going, who they serve. If it only serves a group of people and not everyone, those are evil works, because it will be done from selfish ambition. If I succeed off of what I'm pushing, but others do not, that is an evil work. So understanding that that's one of the best ways to understand how to govern yourself is important. But then it also goes into talking about what positive wisdom is. It comes from the lack of servitude. You have to be someone who serves the world, but serves the world within purity and humility. Without those attributes, you cannot be someone who is called a peacemaker, because you are not walking within righteousness. A peacemaker only wants more people to have peace. You want righteousness to be pushed throughout the world, not just for you, but for everyone and everyone to come. And this is how you know the difference between the positive wisdom and the negative worldly wisdom. It also takes for you to understand yourself. We were given this beautiful text so that we can get into understanding who we are individually and as a collective society of people. There is no such thing as a hierarchy unless you're talking about God. No one is more important than anyone else. No one has more rights than anyone else, and that's not how it's supposed to be. We are all supposed to be together and united. So if we are not united, it is not serving the world in the way God intended. Ooh, all right. I'm hoping this got to who we need to get to. I would definitely say read into James 3, chapter 3 and chapter 4. It shows you a great depiction of the world. and how if you do not specifically govern yourself properly, you fall into the worldly traps. You fall into those evil practices and you become very selfish and ambitious driven, which leads to an inflated ego and distorted pride. Confirmation. So I would definitely say get into it. There's so much in this text that can help heal you. Start healing ourselves now, not later, now. Alright, I'm going to leave this right here. I hope you guys have a very beautifully blessed day, because I plan to. I'm going to leave it here. Love and light, and